Today, I'm going to be attempting to rebuild my failed tech startup using AI. Now, some of you may remember, if you've been watching this channel for a while, that about 3 years ago, I was working on a tech startup called Velocity. Now, this essentially was cognitive training for amateur athletes. I'll show you in a second what it looks like, but it was a mobile application. We were able to scale it to about 10,000 users, and then ultimately we ran out of money and, well, it failed. Now, that took me about 2 years of coding to actually complete. Now, of course, there was revisions, changes, multiple versions, whatever, but it took a really long time to build out all of these features. And let me show you kind of what the app looks like, because I posted it in a YouTube video previously. So you can see that we had like kind of multiple different games that you could play. If I scrub through, we had, let's keep going, like, analytics for each game that people could view. We had like unlockable shoes and stuff, which were like items you would get depending on your performance. We had like leaderboards that were based on kind of your friends, global, etc. You can see that popping up right there. Let's keep going. We had like different items for shoes. And then, of course, if you actually wanted to play a game, let me see if I can find something right here. There's all these different mini games that are meant to test your cognitive ability. Now, I'm not expecting to recreate the entire thing here in this video, but I want to see how close I could get to that just by using a few simple prompts with AI. And my guess is that it's going to be pretty fast, which is kind of incredible that today we can recreate literally an app that took me hundreds of thousands of lines of code and at least many months of developing for the first version in a single video. Let's get into it. So in order to build this out, I'm going to be using a platform called Creao. Now, they actually reached out to me to sponsor today's video, and they just said, hey, try to build something cool. So I figured, let me try to recreate my startup. Now, Creao is the world's first vibe coding platform that's built for your team. So it allows you to really easily create personalized mini SaaS applications just with simple natural language descriptions, which offers flexible sharing and permission controls to empower seamless collaboration and dedicated team AI assistants. Now, we can build entire applications. It also can connect to tons of different integrations. For example, you can see a bunch of them right here. It has a really good MCP connector that you can set up, and you have a lot of different features that you can use directly inside of here. And as it said, it works directly with Teams. So you can actually have access controls for like viewers, editors, what people can and cannot do, which is pretty useful. Now, if you want to see some examples of things that you can build with Creao, they actually have this marketplace feature. So for example, let's just go look at, CryptoPunk Pixel Runner, which I guess is a game that somebody built. Okay, and you can see it's a pretty cool kind of, animated, cyberpunky type application. And let's just see if I hit something. Okay, you can see game over, new high score. And then I would be able to, I think if I go retry it, ask for my name. So we can go Tim, and then we could see the global leaderboard. Cool, so I'm gonna get out of that. There's a bunch of other cool applications that you can make here. Again, there's just some examples directly in the marketplace, but let's go into Creao and start building something ourselves. So once you've made your account, in order to get started with Creao, you can simply just go on the left-hand side here to the new chat, and you can just ask it to do something for you using any of the tools it has access to, or you can get it to build a full application. So for example, if you go to integrations here, you can see a bunch of servers that are already connected and that you can just set up when you're building a new application, or you can connect your own custom MCP servers if you want to do that. Now, you don't need to set these up manually beforehand. When you start using the project, it will prompt you to connect the different tools that it needs. Now, another thing worth noting is that if you go to My Creao, you can go to the account settings here. You can go to Builder Integrations, and you can add a plugin. So you can actually add Figma, and if you add Figma by including your API key, you're able to directly read in Figma designs and have it just build based on the Figma document that you have. So I don't have any Figma files right now, but if you did have those, this is a super cool tool that's worth using. Okay, so let's get out of here and let's now go to apps. So because I don't want to just do something, so previously I asked it like make me a PDF or go look through my Google Drive or whatever, right? It can do that in here, but I want to focus on building the app. So I'm going to go to build new app, and then I'm going to paste in a long prompt that explains what it is that I want to build. Okay, so here's the prompt. It's very long. I just had ChatGPT generate it for me, and it essentially describes Velocity. So you can see Velocity is not a demo app. It previously supported 10K users. We have activities and challenges, live updating leaderboards, all of this kind of stuff. And Creao should be able to build out at least a majority of these features for us. What I'm going to do is put it in the premium mode because I do have a pro subscription that they gave me, but of course you can just do it in standard as well. And we're going to start building this out and see if it can generate this for us. Now keep in mind that this is meant to be no code. So it's going to start by asking us to toggle any integrations. So in this case, I want to connect to GitHub, but if I wanted to add other integrations, then I can do that and select the ones that I want to enable. So what I'm going to do is go build with integration, and then it should get me to connect. Okay, so now that I've done that, it's created a simple product brief for me based on the prompt that I gave it. So I just want to read through this and make sure everything looks good. Now I am going to make a web app because this doesn't create mobile apps. So I'm going to go ahead and press on approve and then have it generate this code. Okay, so it's in the build phase right now, and I want to draw your attention to the fact that it's actually able to run all of these tools directly without me having to connect everything at the beginning, as well as giving it the instruction to do that. So you can see, for example, there's a detailed prompt that it's actually come up with itself in order to run a sub agent that's going to handle all of the database related tasks. You can see that there's a prompt, right? And you can see the result of everything that's happening here for connecting to GitHub, right? Doing the database, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll let this run. It's going to take a few minutes to complete, and then once it's done, I'll be back. Okay, so it's been a few minutes here, and it looks like it has created the application for us. We have a leaderboard, although some of the text is off, but we can fix that. We have our profile. It just created one by default for me, and we can see some stats. And honestly, this is looking somewhat similar, or at least based on what I prompted it, to the app I had before. So let's try to play a game. Let's go like reaction grid. Okay, so what do I have to do here? I just have to, I guess, touch all. I have to touch them as fast as possible. Okay. And to be honest, the graphics are pretty good in this, I would say. And let's see if we can get through this and if we get some kind of score. Okay. By the way, when I had my startup, this was the favorite game that all of the people had, was like target practice, we called it, because we were making it like sports. But they just kind of renamed it in this one to reaction grid when they made the app. Okay, come on. Let's see. All right, cool. And then I think it restarts, or does it restart? What's happened here? Okay, so I think that maybe there's something wrong because it should be finished now and giving me a score. And there we go. It just took a second. And you can see that it shows me the recent activity, although it's showing it duplicated. So again, a small bug that we'd fix. Shows me my personal best, games played, average, etc. Just because I think it was lagging and it picked up multiple events. Let's go to task switcher. Let's try this one here. So follow the current rule, but be ready. It will change. Current rule, odd, even. It is odd. Odd, even, odd, odd, even, greater or less than 5, less than, or yeah, is that less than 5? No, greater than 5. Okay, this is harder than it looks actually. It's the number odd, odd, even, vowel, consonant. It is a consonant, vowel, okay, odd, okay. And you get the idea. I'm not going to play through the whole thing. Let's just get out of that because I don't want it to take too long, but you get the idea. And then if we go to leaderboard here, let's go to reaction grid and let's see if it shows up. And boom, there you go. We can see we have our score showing up on the global leaderboard. So I'm just going to give it a prompt to give me a few revisions. You can see it's also giving me like all of the stats that I have, which is very similar to what I had in the main app. So I'm pretty impressed that it was able to do this. What I want to do now is have it kind of seed the database so I can test if I had multiple users, what that would look like, and also just fix some of the styling because the text is a little bit difficult to read. Okay, so I just gave it a prompt there and it's going to start building this out. Now, while it's doing that, I will show you that we also have all of the versions automatically being tracked here, but also because we have the GitHub integration, it should be tracked with that as well. And if we go to the dashboard, we're able to actually see any of the integrations we have, various different settings like, MCP connection, we can duplicate or clone this. We're able to also see the data schema. This is only in the Pro subscription, but you can see all of the different entries that we're storing. We can see all of the content in our database, so all of the games, right? And we can change through the entity to view all of the different content. We also can see the code. So if you wanted to, you can download all of the code, right? Or you can just have it connected to GitHub. Let's just load something up here. I don't know, main.tsx. And if we want, we can actually edit the code directly inside of here, even though you don't need to. And of course, we can just chat with this in natural language. Okay, so that just wrapped up, and we can see now there's some more values in the database. So if we go through the leaderboard, we're actually seeing some more stuff pop up here in terms of the game scores, right? All of that kind of stuff. It didn't quite fix the text, so that's something that we could continue to work on. But overall, pretty cool. And it said it fixed the bug with the games as well, which we could test later. So now at this point, maybe, I don't want to continue working on this myself, but I want to add a team member. Well, that's where this platform is pretty useful. If you go to the share feature, you're actually able to directly invite other people. So for example, let me just invite one of my other emails. Cool. So I can do that, invite Tim at devlaunch.us, and then I can change the role to either user or viewer. So of course, if I do viewer, then they're just able to view the project. Whereas if I do user, then they're going to have similar abilities to what I have. Now, if I want to be a little bit more granular with the permissions, I can go to the advanced tab here, and I can actually change what the user is able to do. So you can see that I can put full access, so they just have the same control that I would have. I can put read-only access, so they can view the data, but they can't make changes. I can limit the edit access, or I can do personal access, which means that they can only modify their own data. So they can create something, update something, delete something, but only if it's what they originally created. So you have all of those granular permissions, and you also have the ability for cloning. So for example, if you don't want the user to be able to clone this, you can just deny, and then same thing with the viewers. And then if we go back here, we actually have a link that we could send people to use. And if we want to share this, we can put this directly on the marketplace so that other people are able to clone this and build off of it. So that's one of the cool things that Creao has, is they have this marketplace with a bunch of different applications. If you want to share your project, you can just push it onto the marketplace. People can try it out, or they can clone it right from that and use it as a template. And you can also do the same thing yourself. So overall, I'm quite impressed with how quickly we were able to build this application. What I asked this to do is non-trivial. This is a pretty complex application to build in terms of all of the orchestration, syncing up the databases, finding that in a reasonable amount of time, making this scalable, having multiple apps, keeping track of all of the activity, and overall the functionality is quite good. And if we were to continue to refine this, I'm sure we could get a better product that would very closely match what I actually had for my mobile application that again took me months of work to build. So with that said, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.